Let's play a game. On a scale of 1 to 10, how close are you to looking like a raccoon that's been awake for 3 days and subsists entirely on stolen bagels and cold brew? If you answered anything above a 6, congratulations, you're a model employee in the 21st century. We've all been sold this bill of goods, haven't we? That exhaustion is a status symbol. That answering an email at 11 p.m. makes you a go getter, not a hostage. We wear our stress like a designer suit, treat our lunch breaks like a mythological creature, and see our own families as adorable little productivity blockers. But what if I told you that all of this glorification of the grind, is not only making us miserable, but it's also making us objectively worse at our jobs? That's the core idea behind a fantastic little book by Bree Groff called Today Was Fun. And today we're going to unpack its wisdom so you can start reclaiming your soul from the clutches of corporate hustle culture. First up, the book tackles the biggest lie we've been told, that work is supposed to be painful. You don't get a paycheck because you suffered. You get it because you created value. The problem is that value is often buried under a mountain of what I can only politely describe as corporate nonsense, pointless meetings that could have been an email, dress codes designed by someone who's never experienced humidity, and approval processes so long you could age a fine wine waiting for a decision. Groff suggests flipping the script. Instead of asking what your job wants from you, ask, what did I hire my job to do for me? Maybe you hired it to solve interesting puzzles. Maybe you hired it to surround you with people who get your weird sense of humor. Or maybe you just hired it to give you a few good laughs during the day so you don't go home and argue with your toaster. This also frees you from the other big trap, the idea that your work only matters if you're, making a dent in the universe. That pressure is immense. We're told to scale, to disrupt, to reach millions. But this way of thinking kind of poops on the quieter, more human contributions. There's that famous story of the NASA janitor who said he was helping put a man on the moon. We love that story because it sounds grand. But another way to see it is that he was just helping his colleagues. He was making their day a little easier so they could do their job. And that's huge. A kindergarten teacher might only impact 30 kids a year, but ask any adult about the teacher who changed their life, and you'll see an impact that no app with 1 million downloads could ever replicate. So no, you don't need to invent a machine that turns tears into kombucha to have a meaningful job. Next, the book drops a truth bomb that most career advice completely ignores. Forget follow your passion for a second and ask yourself this. Do you actually like the people you work with? You spend more waking hours with your coworkers than almost anyone else. Choosing them wisely is a bigger life hack than anything you'll find on TikTok. Groff uses a brilliant analogy, shoveling manure. Alone, shoveling manure is a miserable, soul-crushing task. It's a crap job. But shoveling manure with people you genuinely like, that's a story you'll be laughing about for years. The task is the same, but the experience is completely different. This isn't about being best friends who braid each other's hair. It's about basic human connection and respect. And it's not just feel-good fluff, it's good for business. Studies show having a friend at work makes you more creative, more engaged, and even safer. So how do you build this? The book offers a dead simple tool, the daily check-in. Before a meeting starts, everyone goes around and rates their day on a scale of 0 to 5 and says why in 30 seconds. I'm a 5 because my dog learned a new trick. I'm a 2 because I think my houseplant is faking its own death to spite me. I'm a 3 because my socks don't match and it's throwing off my entire cosmic alignment. It sounds small, but it's a game changer. It creates psychological safety. It lets you know why your normally chipper colleague looks like they want to fight a stapler. And most importantly, It reminds everyone that you're working with people, not just job titles. Okay, let's talk about you. The most important piece of equipment you bring to work every single day. The book compares your body to a grand piano. Before a big concert, you wouldn't slap some motor oil on the keys and call it a day, right? So why do we treat our bodies, the only instrument we will ever have, with the care and respect of a rental car on its last day? We're expected to perform at a high level while running on 3 hours of sleep and a diet of lukewarm coffee and pure anxiety. A sleep-deprived leader is less charismatic. A sleep-deprived team makes more mistakes. You're not just worse at your job, you're more likely to be an insufferable jerk to everyone around you. The real kicker is how companies try to solve this. They offer a mindfulness app or a gym membership while still scheduling back-to-back-to-back meetings. That's like putting a band-aid on a shark bite. When you are exhausted to your core, you don't want to go to a spin class. You want chips and queso in your bed. The book argues that the solution isn't adding more wellness fluff, it's removing the causes of the burnout. What if companies reduced insane revenue targets? What if they hired more people? What if they just gave you the money they'd spend on a ping pong table and let you use it to order a pizza and go to bed early? The result is better work from healthier, happier people. Caring for your body isn't an indulgence, it's a strategy. Speaking of strategy, if your brain is starting to feel like an over-caffeinated squirrel in a traffic jam after hearing all this, maybe it's time to hit subscribe. We can't reduce your meetings, but we can make your 5-minute YouTube breaks less soul-crushing. Think of it as a do-nothing moment for your subscription feed. It's the strategic choice. Go on, do it. Alright, now for the final boss, the arch nemesis of great work, busyness. Doing brilliant, creative, fulfilling work is one of the coolest parts of being human. But you can't do it if your brain is stuck in survival mode. Busyness is what keeps it there. The book breaks it down into a few problems. There's the math problem. Too many tasks, not enough time. There's the strategy problem. Nobody's sure what's actually important, so we do everything. There's the power problem. The people who actually make the thing have less say than the people who schedule meetings about the thing. And finally, the psychology problem. Being busy feels important. It strokes the ego. But brilliance, insight, that aha moment, it needs breathing room. It needs space. You can't have a breakthrough idea when you're sprinting between calls and actively holding in a bathroom break. Your brain isn't thinking about innovation. It's just trying to remember if it's okay to pee on company time. So, how do you create this space? The book has a beautifully simple answer. Crowd out the bad work with the good. Start choosing projects that genuinely energize you. Ask, what would be the most fun to do right now? Fun, in this context, means meaningful, engaging work. And here's another compass, fear. Often, the work you're most scared to do, pitching that risky idea, trying a new skill, is where the magic happens. Playing it safe just produces boring, predictable results. And the most heretical, most punk rock idea of all, the do-nothing day. A day where your only job is to think, reflect, and ask better questions. No emails, no reports, no output required. You can call it an ideation block or strategic visioning time if you need to sell it to your boss. But the purpose is to step back from the frantic doing to make sure you're doing the right things in the first place. In the end, today was fun isn't about slacking off. It's about being smarter, more human, and more effective. It's about creating value by finding joy and meaning in your work. It's about liking your colleagues enough to shovel manure with them. It's about treating your body like the precious, high-performance instrument it is. And it's about having the courage to create space for brilliant work by saying no to the cult of busyness. Focus on what matters, take care of yourself and the people around you, and you might just find that work can be something you look forward to. And wouldn't that be a nice change of pace? Thanks for watching. Now go take a nap. You've earned it.